Hi guys, and welcome back to Chelsea Fan TV. My name is Michelle.
And my name is Nina. Welcome back to a new episode of Carefree Queens, guys. I feel like even though not that much time goes between episodes, so much happens. So much is just going on in the transfer market surrounding Chelsea. I mean, I know we're always in the headlines, but come on, like the news that has been spiraling around recently is just insane. So, where to start, guys? Where to start? I feel like overnight, Todd Bowley's just gone and invested 65 mil in buying Strasbourg, a French team, which we seem to be in business now with as well. Obviously, Saudi Arabia, he spent a while there, and we were wondering what exactly is it you are doing there, Todd? Now we know we were just simply clearing out all our dead wood. Well, no disrespect to a couple of the names in there, but the rest of them is what they really essentially are. So offloading that, getting some money in. So things seem to look a little bit more promising for the future. Michelle, I'm sure you'll agree. But there's plenty to get into. Mason Mount, of course, Man United are expected to make the last bid, which is something around 55 mil. They want this deal done and dusted, so they don't want to spend any more time, going back and forth with Chelsea. We need to be serious about this. I feel like in my head that is now a done deal. Mason Mount has agreed personal terms a couple weeks back. Man United want him. Let's get this cash in, because otherwise we risk being in a very horrendously awkward position where Mason Mount stays. He's got 1 year left on his contract, and then he walks out for free and he spends a miserable year being hated by every single Chelsea fan. So that is a pickle that we want to avoid. And funnily enough, I'm seeing that a lot of Man United fans don't actually want him, Michelle. So that is also something very interesting to touch upon. Obviously, one of our favourite players ever, Kante, is also going to Saudi Arabia. I feel like he deserves his moment of recognition, which we will give him in this episode as well. But a lot seems to be happening. Obviously, we're set to make our incomings kind of simultaneous to the outgoings. So, likes of Caicedo, we're hoping to get a move kickstart on that as well, because don't want to miss out on that signing as well. So, plenty to get into, Michelle, but I'm just keen to know, first of all, what your thoughts are on obviously Todd making business with Saudi Arabia. Like, how do you view that? Is that something that shows us that we are going in the right direction?
I'm so sorry you cut out. Can you
Yes,
repeat
so
that?
I asked you if you think that that business that we're doing with Saudi Arabia points that we are going in the right direction now. Is that something that you are pleased to see, basically?
Mm, I I don't think it's just us that's doing business with the Saudi league. We're seeing a lot more players from different leagues going into that direction, and even the news here in Denmark are picking up on it as well, saying that Saudi Arabia has actually invested a lot of money into the sports culture, and bringing in massive footballers like this sort of just proves the priority for the government in Saudi Arabia. So I just don't think it's necessarily only a Chelsea thing. I think it's a coincidence. Um, and I think maybe at the same time we're sort of just accept whatever offers we can get. Like you said, some of the players are players we've been looking to get rid of for a while. I don't think anyone has really been putting in a better offer than Saudi has, because we do know it's a country that's very rich on resources, especially financially. So I think that's where that sort of lies. That they have maybe just offered the best deal, and why would you want to say no to the better deal? So I don't actually really have an issue with it. Um, it's it's money for us. It's money in the bank, and if the players didn't want to go there, I'm sure they would have chosen somewhere else. So that's where I stand with that.
Yeah. No, I mean it's just crazy because I woke up, a couple days ago, and it was barely 11 a.m. UK time, and there was already 5 Here We Go on Fabrizio Romano's feed on Instagram, and it was just like, wow, like we're not wasting time here. And because the
No.
clear out was just such an important aspect of this transfer window, it was just really good to see that that is how quickly we are in works of doing things, because the earlier the better, essentially. As soon as you know kind of who's out the door, it makes it easier to address who should be coming through that door equally, you know, so to give enough time before Pochettino sets foot, you know, on the pitch with the Chelsea players, and to be essentially in a better place to move forward. So very positive. It's great to see, and I didn't expect to actually make as much money as we did. Obviously, with Koulibaly, he's only been here a season. We didn't really pay a cheap price either for him, you know, 32 or 3 million, I believe it was, something like that, and they're still offering us money in return. Same with Ziyech and Mendy. Yeah, it's not tons of money, but that's also what you've got to take into consideration, is that it's offloading wages as well. So of course, you know, Koulibaly wasn't on cheap wages. Like, it's good to see that we are offloading that. We are building a new wage structure, so we are making things a lot easier for ourselves in, you know, the long-term kind of run of things. So very positive, like you said, just business things really. Todd Bowley's a businessman. It's just what he does best. So it's great to see. And of course, we have seen that he's gone off and he's invested money in Strasbourg, French team in the French league. And it seems that we'll be able to send out players on loan a lot easier. So that seems like another effective structure we will have for those loanees. We'll be able to monitor them, let them kind of develop in essentially a French league, which is another kind of, not as competitive, but still playing at a higher level essentially, and competing there as well. So I think that is a fantastic way to kind of do things. Essentially, we know that we've got a lot of youngsters that we're still yet to bring in as well. A lot of them, you know, likes of kind of Hutchison, the likes of Datro Fofana, perhaps even Andre Santos. These are players that we could potentially look to move there as well. So it's great to see that we are thinking long term. It's good to see that, you know, Todd is making some finally rational decisions as well, and he's not just going off and just doing something to please the fans and just to make something happen. So it's great. We touched upon Mason Mount a little bit in our last video. It seems that move is going to be a lot more, you know, kind of advanced in the next few days. But how I see it is Mason Mount wants to move. He wants to go. He is accepting something like 200, I think, a week, which is arguably something that we offered him, at least similar. I think we offered him something around there and he denied it. Of course, we will never know the full truth with Mason Mount, so I'm not going to be quick to call names and, you know, all of that sorts. However, I am still, as a Chelsea fan, quite disappointed with how everything is handled, also on his behalf as well. I also think it's so awkward that Man United fans don't even want him. So I feel like that just adds to the situation of awkwardness as well. But, you know, I say it's done now. It's basically done. Just get it, you know, really realistically done. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's funny you add in that the United fans don't really want him. So my brother is a United supporter. And he said that he didn't want to argue that he wasn't a good footballer, because I feel like that's just, it's facts at this point, that he is a good footballer. But he said he doesn't understand why they're buying him, because he doesn't see how it's going to work out with the team they have, etc. So I think it's much more about what is he going to add in. Like, he personally felt like they were lacking some other things rather than what Mason can bring to the table. So I just think it's really funny that you said they don't even want him. I just personally, I'm equally as disappointed as I think a lot of other players are, especially because he sort of had the slogan that was "the boy who had dreamed." And I saw the other day someone changed it on social media to "the boy who sold us a dream," and I just that's brutal, but it made sense because it just changed so drastically, especially when you have a similar offer when it comes to payment, wax, whatever, your salary, and then you just still deny it. I think it has a lot to do with the whole situation, the ownership, etc., who runs the club. But nonetheless, if you are proper Chelsea, I think you I don't know. I'm a little disappointed, like many other people are. And I sort of just want to see him gone now. It doesn't even surprise me whenever they announce, here we go, or Mason Mount update, or what. Like, it doesn't surprise me at this point, because like you, he is sort of gone for me. So might as well just get over with it. The faster the better. And like you said, I actually sat with the thought, what if we deny it? Like, where are we gonna stand then? Do you, like, if we're just gonna pull up a fake scenario, let's say we do actually decline the final offer, do you think he's gonna hold grudges and not be the sportsman you would expect him to be and be as competitive as you would expect him to be? Do you think he would hold grudges? Do you think he would gain playing time? Do you think once his contract runs out, do you think there's a possibility if we deny this that he would actually put in an effort? Or do you think he would sort of just wait for his contract to run out? Do you know what I think?
Yeah, honestly, I don't see that at all. I mean, I feel like even on behalf of the fans, even on behalf of the club, I just don't see that ever happening. You know, I don't see where you suddenly change after everything there and you go out and put performances on and continue selling that dream, like you said. I just don't see that happening. And honestly, like we said, it's just better that it's done and dusted. Chelsea, don't be silly, accept the money and just, you know, call it for what it is. Of course, we'd want to still demand some money. We're not going to, even like despite how the situation has been handled, we're not just going to, you know, give him away for some pennies. You know, at the end of the day, still, we take credit for making Mason Mount the player that he is today, developing him. You know, he's homegrown and everything. Player of the seasons, you know, he's still 24, so got loads of playing time. There are still those factors to consider there. You know, at the end of the day, you can have your opinions on him, but fact to fact, you still have to have a responsible, you know, money made there off him. So Chelsea, don't be silly, accept the bid at the end of the day, and let's just move past this, because I feel like too much time has been spent on this Mason Mount situation. And like somebody very clever said, no player is bigger than the club. Mason Mount or not, you are not bigger than Chelsea. So we should not be denying or neglecting our values as a club, our, you know, principles, just because you're Mason Mount. No, the situation has obviously been developed in a way that perhaps it shouldn't have been. It has dragged on for way too long. It's weighing down on our shoulders as Chelsea fans as well. So it's just something that, like we said, needs to be done and dusted. So we can move away from that situation there. We're yet to see that. Here we go in the next couple days. Mason Mount in a Man United shirt. I mean, you have it there. Mason Man United is his new name. Anyways, so to move on a little bit, I wanted to talk about Edouard Mendy, because obviously our goalkeeper situation has been something that has divided opinion across our fan base for, you know, as long as pretty much the whole last season. So where do you stand with Mendy? Because, of course, we saw him be kind of first pick under Thomas Tuchel. He had a fantastic run in the Champions League campaign, obviously got UEFA Goalkeeper of the Year. That decision doesn't just get given to anyone. So he deserved that. He was our golden goalkeeper there for a while. Some absolutely stunning saves, you know, across several different tournaments. But for me, Mendy fell from grace a little bit. And you can have that argument there that, you know, Mendy's strengths are Kepa's weaknesses and then vice versa. So that isn't a very kind of good balance to have, essentially. Of course, you do have a backup goalkeeper with other different strengths, but I feel like they both are just kind of mid at the moment. And it's like, well, it doesn't really matter with who you go with. Yeah, you could argue that Kepa had a decent season and a terrible season, but, you know, even there, the standards are so low. Yes, he did save us, got us out of those games with, you know, perhaps a little more points than we could have anticipated. But again, that isn't the most reliable kind of goalkeeper there. But obviously Mendy leaving, Pochettino is interested in making Kepa number one. What are your thoughts on that? Would you like Kepa to be number one this season? Are you kind of, what's the word? Are you trustworthy of that? What is your opinion?
Okay, so I'll start with your Mendy question. I think we have been very privileged to have two goalkeepers with such high levels. I don't think many clubs have that. So I actually think it's been a very luxury problem in a way. I really like him. I like Mendy a lot. I think he's a good goalkeeper. When he just like the thing that annoys me with Mendy is I actually rate him. Like, I rate him high. But what ruins it a lot for me is the mistakes he makes. Like, it makes him, it drops his value drastically, and it makes him look almost unprofessional. We all know what drops I'm talking about, and it's just when you're on that level and when you're, like, you should just deliver in a different way. I feel like it's just it drops it drastically with the, like, everyone makes mistakes, but it's just when he made mistakes, they were too big of mistakes. So that's sort of where I stand with him. I don't think the injury helped either. But then that just brings me back to us having a major luxury problem. Our second goalkeeper, which was at the time, was a phenomenal, and I personally think still is a phenomenal goalkeeper. I think right to drop Mendy because of the injury, and then he just didn't play for ages. And then we had Kepa to rely on. I think Kepa would have delivered differently and way better if we just didn't have all these issues with our defense this season. I hear many people talk very harshly about Kepa. Personally, I would say that I don't think he deserves the critic he's been given this season, because I personally think a lot of the situations could have been avoided if he had a better defense. And I actually rate him for that. I actually think he was one of our better players this season, and I think people are being way too harsh on him because a lot of the situations he was put in, he should have never been put in. That's sort of where I stand with that. So I think if criticizing him, we should have criticized our defense. Obviously, he has been making mistakes, etc. as well. But I just feel like those mistakes, when he finally makes himself, they were sort of made worse than they were because of other situation he did by his defense. So I don't really want to be one of the massive critics on him, because I actually think he had been doing good. Yeah, but I think everything eventually must come to an end. And I feel like everything right now is based on us having a fresh start, and I also didn't be too upset. Like, I'm sort of torn a bit. If I'm gonna see him being sold, I'm sort of just gonna be at peace with it, because do you know what I mean? Like, it's not gonna upset me massively. It's just, okay, sure, let's bring someone else in. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like, yeah. That's where
I get what you mean. I definitely agree on I think he's been too overly disrespected, especially this season. I said, flashback to Aston Villa away, Brentford at home. Those are games where we would have, even like Man United as well, like where we got thrashed literally. I feel like a lot of those games we would have conceded so many more, and then that would have been a whole nother kind of different level of conversation there. So I do agree completely on your point that I think he's been overly critiqued. Yes, he's not perfect. Yes, I do think that his reign should be and slowly coming to an end as well, but I would rather stick with Kepa this upcoming season than rush to bring in perhaps a less experienced or less established goalkeeper as well, and make that kind of mistake there as well, because of course we're bringing in a lot of young fresh talented players, but your goalkeeping position is where you kind of exert leadership as well, and you need to be navigating players. If we bring in a young, not so established goalkeeper now, there's nothing wrong with young goalkeepers, but when you're bringing them into a season where leadership is going to be on the small side, experience is going to be on the small side as well, I think Kepa, is great at navigating players as well, and he could potentially be that leader from the back this season. But yeah, no, I absolutely think we will be addressing goalkeepers, definitely. But for me, the priority lies elsewhere, and I don't want us getting caught up into rushing into bringing in a goalkeeper now when we could just stick with Kepa for this season and then just go from there. So yeah, I agree on that front about obviously Mendy and Kepa. So that's the goalkeeping situation there. But yeah, moving a little bit obviously obviously slightly up the pitch. Obviously, Enzo is crying, bless him. He is on his own. He's been left absent. The whole of Chelsea's midfield was deleted after he was brought in. So, he kind of looked around and was like, well, it's just me and Conor Gallagher, of course. But, Conor Gallagher's been an attacking player this season, hasn't he? So, God. But, that is where we lie kind of with midfield. So, of course, we're going to have to bring in midfielders. That is a priority. Yeah. And, Manuel Ugarte, I thought that was a Chelsea player there as well. It fell through. Okay, everything happens for a reason. Not going to cry about it. Not the end of the world. However, what I will cry about is Moises Caicedo, because if that falls through, then we are left in an even greater pickle there, because Moises Caicedo is the ideal partner, in my opinion, for Enzo. He will allow him to push up a lot more. Enzo is a creative player. He needs to flow further up so he can be involved in, creating for the attacking players, whipping in assists, cross, because his range of passing is absolutely phenomenal. And think if he was this good in this atrocious season, think how good he can be in a better season with a partner, with a company in the midfield that can really help him move up, so he doesn't have to be so box to box consistently recovering mistakes behind in front, and he can actually roam forwards and be a lot more involved in attack, which is why we brought him in. Enzo is going to be one of our best players in Chelsea for the next few years. I don't doubt that. But he needs support. And for me, Moises Caicedo is the perfect fit. One, he doesn't have to fit into the Prem. He's already had a fantastic season in the Prem. Two, he wants that Chelsea move as well. And like we spoke with Michelle, like we spoke about, wanting to be at Chelsea being kind of one of the most important criteria for next season, because that's just where we're at. Players haven't wanted to be at Chelsea. So Caicedo being keen on a move to Chelsea as opposed to Arsenal is on our side. We've got to capture and capitalize on that. So for me, Caicedo is an absolute must. I am getting a little bit more worried why that is taking so long, but we will see that hopefully advance in the next few days. But what can we say about Enzo? Not enough nice words, Michelle, can we?
No, and I love your point, and I've spoken and addressed this so many times that we've seen sparks from players who's been doing phenomenally given the circumstances. Can I say that? I think that's well put. And there's just Nani as well, Muruek as well. Like I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I'm really excited to see these players under way better circumstances. Like, how do you play the way they have played in a few games? Do you know what I mean? Like, every now and then we've seen a bunch of sparks. How do you do that when the situation has been horrible the way it has been? So I didn't think I would be. I think it's because I've had a break for a little bit. But I'm actually hopeful, and I cannot wait to see players who have a lot of potential actually be groomed and worked with properly. But I think before time runs, I think we should and we must talk about N'Golo Kante, because
who's chopping onions?
No, it's actually ridiculous, because even just saying his name just sent shivers throughout my whole body. I just find it so bittersweet. I find it so. I get he has been with us for a very long time. I get he is sort of approaching being one of the elderly, but I don't think he's done yet. I actually don't think he's done yet. I think he could have still been bringing a lot to the table, especially I feel like we've been missing out on him as well because of that long dreadful injury. So I feel like his last season sort of ended last season, if that makes sense. I feel like we've been missing out, and I think that's why it hurts a bit extra. That it's do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I could have kept one player out of all the players we sent away, I would have 100%, without a doubt, have kept him. That's how much he's been meaning to the club. And I even not only titles for me, it's the way he is as a person, because it affects other players, it affects the whole situation. I just, for fuck's sake, like, why?
No, I agree with you. And I think something that will always be a what if, we spoke about Enzo shortly, is what if Enzo and a fully fit Kante, that will forever, live at the back of my mind as something that, could have been and should have been. Let me get a box of tissues. Yeah. But no, I agree with you. But like you said, you can't also blame him. Kante has always chosen Chelsea over anything else. He's always chosen, us as fans as well in the club. So I can't blame him for actually, turning around and wanting to look after, his future and setting up 5-6 generations, of his family in the future, with the money that he will earn. So yeah, like you said, I think bittersweet is the perfect way to capture that. I mean, Kante will be missed. Like you said, when any player has ever divided opinion in Chelsea, Kante has never. So that just goes to show what he is to us, what he means to us. But yeah, I wish him all the best. And yeah, let me go grab a box of tissues, because
we'll be in the bed for the rest of the day. It's just like, what I personally think we're going to miss him, and I think we're going to realize how crucial he was for the game. It's just running through my mind right now, the perfect tackles he would make, the speed, like, it was just, everyone has seen it, like, it's just, there's going to be major, and I don't know who else is going to do that for us. I realize we have a lot of other players who are really good, but it's just, it's just so clean, and it's even like high speed tackles, they're just perfect, and even the opponent who's watching him do the perfect tackle don't want to scream about it or be say something to the judge, even though the one he is tackling is, oh, what the fuck was that? Because everyone can see, like, no, that's just too good. It's too good of a tackle. His, what was it, a 4 nutmeg goal? It's just like small things like that I can't put it into words. It's because I'm not, like, my first language is English. It's just like I could write a whole novel about.
I'm not from here.
I'm not from here. I actually find it really hard to describe certain situations like this. So
I think you described it very well. I think you described it perfectly. That's just a great way to sum up this episode with this legend of a person, player. So yeah, I mean, it's great. What more can you say? I think we can say thank you guys for watching. I think we can say leave your comments in the comments down below. See, I've lost my words now after we spoke about Kante. I can't even speak, but leave your comments down. Like, obviously, subscribe to Chelsea Fan TV. Check out mine and Michelle's personal channels as well. We'll link them down below. And yeah, guys, just enjoy everything that's going on in summer. There'll be a lot. So tune in. Michelle?
I think it's better I just stop rambling now, because I just repeat myself. Yeah, I'll put the links in the description as always, and see you in the next one.